You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News Brief. First of all, today in a story from the Gateway Pundit, 8 times deported illegal alien caught with $850,000 worth of meth and cocaine in his car. They're not sending their best. Utah County Police arrested 44-year-old Jose Olegario Lopez over the weekend and found 19 pounds of illegal drugs in his car. Police officers tried to pull over Lopez on January 12th for a traffic violation, but when Lopez refused to pull over, a team of officers pursued him and eventually stopped him. Officers and a canine searched Lopez's car and discovered bags of cocaine and meth valued at approximately $856,000. According to police, Jose Olegario Lopez is from Sinaloa, Mexico, and has been deported from the United States 8 different times. Lopez also has ties to large drug trafficking operations outside of Utah. Drug trafficking is one of the many reasons President Trump is working to secure the southern border. For the first time ever, opioids killed more than car crashes in the United States last year, and the Democrats still don't want to support border security. God, that's just insane. Well, this is an excellent example right here of why we need the wall and why we need it now. There is no reason this guy should have been deported 8 times and been able to get back into the country that many times. That's a heck of a lot of drugs, you guys. Heck of a lot of drugs. Huge value on the street. These people are dying. The fact that we've got opioids and drugs killing this many people every year, and the Democrats want to keep the border open for votes, it's disgusting. And on that note, the tide is clearly turning when it comes to funding the border wall. From the Daily Caller, 8 House Dems break with leadership on wall funding. 8 House Democrats broke ranks with their leadership Wednesday when they voted against an amendment within the disaster supplemental aid legislation that would deny funding for the border wall. The amendment passed 230 to 197, and the Disaster Supplemental Appropriations Act passed 237 to 187. The Democrats that voted against the amendment are New York Democratic Rep. Anthony Brindisi, South Carolina Democratic Rep. Joe Cunningham, Oklahoma Democratic Rep. Kendra Horn, New Jersey Democratic Rep. Andy Kim, Pennsylvania Democratic Rep. Connor Lamb, Minnesota Democratic Rep. Colin Peterson, Michigan Democratic Rep. Elise Slotkin, not Slotnick, and New Jersey Democratic Rep. Jeff Van Drew. I have said multiple times that I support some element of a physical barrier as part of an overall package on border security, but it's also got to include more funding for border agents. It's got to include more technology, Brindisi told Vox. But I've always been consistent in saying if the experts tell us a physical barrier makes sense, I will support it. One day, after Democrats rejected a lunch invitation to meet with President Trump to discuss ways for both sides of the border debate to find a solution to fund the federal government and end the partial shutdown, these 8 Democrats found themselves parting ways with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi over an amendment proposed by House Rules Chairman Jim McGovern. His wall won't work, period. We're in the 21st century, and this is a medieval solution, McGovern said in a statement. Republican members on the Rules Committee slammed the amendment, Roll Call reported, calling it an exercise in futility that hurts bipartisan support for disaster relief in areas of places like Puerto Rico and California. At a House Democratic caucus meeting Tuesday, Pelosi reportedly told Democrats to stay together when it came to funding for the border in relation to the government shutdown. Is anybody surprised that the president is trying to get votes wherever he can get votes? We are totally united. Totally. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer told reporters. Uh-oh, Steny. The House Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus went to the White House Wednesday. Pelosi and Hoyer claimed they saw no issue with rank-and-file Democrats meeting with the president in an effort to end the shutdown, but predicted their members would become as frustrated with the president as they did. They can see what we've been dealing with, Pelosi said laughingly to Hoyer, and they'll want to make a citizen's arrest, USA Today reported. However, a Democrat who did attend the bipartisan meeting as a member of the Problem Solver Caucus, New Jersey Democratic Rep. Josh Gottheimer, said the discussion was in fact constructive. Wow. I left thinking that both sides realize that we've got to find a way out of this, and that because there is a real openness. It left me feeling like we've got to work on this because there's a way that was, I thought, that's why I it's not a constructive conversation, but we've got to keep talking, Gottheimer told reporters. And I really think that was, for me, the big takeaway. We got to keep at this. Well, I guess that some Democrats are not completely insane. Fund the wall. Now on to something that a new friend on Twitter sent me, Roger Maury. He stated that he caught this yesterday reading a Greg Rubini tweet, and he noticed that no one had mentioned this. On the 19th, remember it was said that, remember this day, as of the 19th of this month, that will be the 30 days that the government has been shut down. Now, this has been talked about by a couple of other people. I did that video about a week or two back about the fact that the 19th is National Popcorn Day. Perhaps that was going to be something significant. Well, that will be the 30 days that the government has been shut down, and that's when the president can begin reductions. Now, if we go back to the board here, we've got many posts from our favorite Anon. Done in 30, done in 30, 30, done in 30, done in 30. Plenty of them. Let's see. I think that might be it. But so 30 days. Is that 30 days the 30 days of the government shutdown? Well, let's take a look at an article from the American Thinker, and we can get into it a little bit deeper. A new statement from the Office of Management and Budget provides cold comfort for federal bureaucrats worried that furloughs related to the partial shutdown could become permanent layoffs, as long as Democrats refuse to give in and fund the border barrier. There will be no immediate layoffs, what the federal government calls reduction in force, or IRFs, if and when the current partial shutdown passes the 30-day mark in 4 more days, or in 3 more days as it is now. As I explained yesterday in Trump's shutdown trap, federal law requires RIFs when federal employees are furloughed more than 30 days. But after the matter was raised and widely discussed, the OMB issued a statement that indicates that it would require an actual reorganization plan that would make furloughed positions permanently identified as unnecessary in order for the furloughs to be RIFed. Nicole Ogritzko writes in the Federal News Network, agencies won't need to consider targeted layoffs, otherwise known as reductions in force, if the current partial government shutdown continues for another few days. While federal statute typically instructs agencies to RIF targeted groups of employees who have been placed on furlough status for 30 days or more, the regulations don't apply to emergency furlough situations, the Office of Management and Budget confirmed Tuesday. There are 2 kinds of furloughs. Administrative furloughs are planned events by an agency designed to absorb reductions necessitated by downsizing, reduced funding, lack of work, or any budget situation other than a lapse in appropriations, according to the Office of Personnel Management. Shutdown furloughs, also called emergency furloughs, occur during lapses in appropriations. OPM's 2015 guidance on shutdown furloughs also clarifies the matter. Reductions in force furlough regulations and SES competitive furlough requirements are not applicable to emergency shutdown furloughs because the ultimate duration of an emergency shutdown furlough is unknown at the outset and is dependent entirely on congressional action rather than agency action, OPM guidance reads. The RIF furlough regulations and SES competitive furlough requirements, on the other hand, contemplate planned, foreseeable, money-saving furloughs that, at the outset, are planned to exceed 30 days. This emphatically does not rule out the shutdown trap hypothesis that I presented. It will take some time for reorganization plans to be prepared, but once they are revealed after the 30-day deadline is reached, the shutdown furloughs become administrative furloughs and the RIF layoffs are possible. As the anonymous senior Trump administration official whom I quoted yesterday, in the absence of bureaucrats with time on their hands and no inclination to help the Trump agenda, a lot is getting accomplished. As that process continues after the 30-day mark is reached, it will be possible to create a downsizing plan, identifying units that could easily get by with a fraction of their current staff, or even be reorganized out of existence. The head of the OMB, Mick Mulvaney, currently does not have a lot of spare time, serving as head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and as interim White House Chief of Staff, a 24/7 job in its own right. But if he is on board, and why wouldn't he be, he could well designate a team to prepare quick plans for downsizing now that the various agencies have seen how little they need so many of the furloughed bureaucrats. That would make the furloughs qualify for RIFs. Of course, there would be a dispute on when the clock starts ticking on the 30 days. With the original shutdown furlough, or from the date of the hypothetical downsizing plan I mentioned. If the latter, a delayed start of the clock ticking, then the pressure on the Democrats to cave in and end the shutdown would amp up. Imagine if Schumer and Pelosi started hearing from federal bureaucrats waiting to be RIFed if another 30 days go by. Would they be willing to say to them that it's more important to have no border barriers than for their jobs to be preserved? They would have a time bomb of layoffs of government employees, a huge Democrat constituency, affecting many individual members of the House with large numbers of federal employee constituents. I can imagine quite a few House Democrats bolting from Pelosi if this she persists in the shutdown, refusing to talk or compromise. If this plan is followed and a downsizing proposal is officially revealed, Trump either gets an end to the shutdown or gets to downsize the federal bureaucracy. Well, I would imagine that President Trump probably already has that plan in hand, or at the very least, they are working on it right now. This is the opportunity to drain the swamp, and I just want to thank my friend Roger Murray for bringing that to my attention again. I've been wanting to make a video about this for a couple of days to clarify some of that stuff. But this looks real good to me. I think that this is an amazing opportunity that we have to clean up the government, get rid of a lot of unnecessary bloat, a lot of that unnecessary process, and let's start getting to work for real. We have a lot of people that are standing in the way of the Trump agenda. The Trump agenda is making America great again, and we can't do that if we've got a bunch of swamp rats in the way. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I am once again Red Pill 78, the corruption detector. If anyone would like to support me, there are links down below. And otherwise, if you just watch the commercials, that helps too. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.